Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Happy Sunday, y'all. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everything is going your way. We're getting down to it today, Sunday the 22nd. The big day is Wednesday. Hopefully everybody is caught up. I don't know whether I'm behind for this year or ahead for next year, but here we are. So, let's see what's going on so far this week. It's actually been relatively mellow. I've been able to get caught up on a few things, and after the final scramble was completed, it's calming down. So here's hoping Wednesday's a good celebration for everybody, for those who partake, for those who don't. Hope you're having a good week. We're going to get into some interesting stuff today. I'm going to throw some sources out to you that we've talked about before, but I noticed there was a little bit of questioning going on out there in the chat, so we'll get back into it. But first, I want to give a shout out to and say hello to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media, who is out there in the chat. You see him there. He pops in every Sunday, the only moderator on my channel, I might add. And want to mention Harneal Media. Now, I've been with Steve and Harneal Media for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's going on 5 years. If I'm right, Steve, maybe more, but I think right at 5 years. And I got to tell you, no matter the update that's come out for the website software, no matter what new plugins are available, and no matter what theme I have to use, I mean, Steve is right on top of it. He makes me look good, and that's all there is to it. Okay, almost 7. Wow. Okay. Well, heck. Even longer than I thought. Time flies when you're having fun, and time flies when you've got good support. And that's what I want to talk about with Harneal Media today. I mean, what can I say? If you are even toying with the idea of setting up your website with like a web store, or so you can offer your products and your services to the public at large. There's a few of you out here in the chat right now who I know have reached out to Steve, and he is handling your website. And you can vouch for everything that I say. Um, the man is just phenomenal, and I don't know how he gets everything done as quickly as he gets it done and as professionally as he gets it done. So do yourself a favor, head over to Harneal Media. Then there's a link in the description of every video and live stream on this channel, and it's that way for a reason. Head over there, hit that contact us button, and shoot him a message. He's more than willing to talk to you, more than willing to work with you. He'll do as much or as little on the website as you want him to do. If you're a seasoned veteran and just need support backstage, he'll stay away from it and let you handle it. If you're like me and don't know what the heck you're doing, he can handle that as well. Again, do yourself a favor, head over to harnealmedia.com and hit that contact us button and give Steve a shout. Thank you very much, Steve. I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you for everything that you do and have done over these 7 years. I truly appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So, what I wanted to talk about today is a few resources. Now, this is going to seem short fuse for a few of you because it's like, oh, great, 3 days before Christmas. Now you bring this up. Well, I brought it up a couple of weeks ago, and we got to talking in here. Oz is carving the Vectric Paradise box. Now, this is just me talking here. Um, Personally, I think that the Vectric Paradise box, it's kind of like a rite of passage. If you use VCarve or Aspire, um, I think everybody who uses VCarve or Aspire should create a Paradise box. I mean, it's just a great project. They are very, very well received. And everybody that I have ever given one to absolutely loves it. So let me throw up a picture here to show you what I'm talking about. And I should have done this before I went live, but what can I do? This is the Vectric Paradise box. Now, I made these for my granddaughters, and they're maple bodies with cherry ends. And of course, over the years, they have cherry darkens. And they're just gorgeous little, I say little boxes. The looks are deceiving. These things are about 15 inches long. They are big, big boxes. Okay. So, uh, but they're very, very well received. They're very easy carves. There's a few things you have to keep in mind as you're doing them, but Vectric has made it easy for you. If you go over to the Vectric portal, your V and Company account, and that's just portal.vectric.com. I'll put a link down in the description. Portal.vectric.com. And you come up here to inspiration and go down to project of the month. You will find several pages of free projects that are designed by Michael Tyler, and he's been making these monthly projects since January of 2011. And he puts out a new project every month. Well, to kind of prove the point, you'll have to scroll all the way over to page 18, and there you'll find the Paradise Box project. Now I'll open this in a new tab so I don't lose my main page. And here is the project. You'll get all of the files needed to download this project and carve it. And it works with Aspire or VCarve Pro 7.5 and up. And again, you get all of the, let me see if I can bring it up here. Have to go back out. And right there, you get all of the CRV files. You'll get a few photos, and then you get a PDF that is basically your tutorial that shows you, there we go, everything you need to know about how to make this box. It measures, okay, 13.5 by 9.5 by 5.5. And that is a big box. Believe me when I say that. But there are all the bits you're going to need. Here are the pieces that you're going to need. Here are the carving and assembly instructions and the hardware that you'll need. Uh, his sanding, this is where I got the idea for the radial discs, the 3M radial sanding discs. And final assembly and wood finish, the whole thing. I mean, and then a material sources page. This is really a highly underused and often forgotten resource for projects. I mean, and again, you just simply go to inspiration, project of the month, and I mean, I'm at what, 20 pages? Yeah, 20 pages of projects that run the gamut from 2D projects like this to 3D rocket clocks. There is no fee. Every one of these projects are free with your Vectric and Company account. Every single one of them. So do yourself a favor and get over into your Vectric portal and go into Inspiration Project of the Month. Now, there are also tips and tricks. This is where you'll find a lot of the tips and tricks videos, the wooden backpack, shop phone speaker, things of that nature. You get into them. Here's a barbecue board. Let's take a look at that. There are all the project files as well as the video that they made to talk about how to use the files. And this is all free for every Vectric user. So do yourself a favor, get over into your V&Co account. And I mean, there are partner projects. A lot of these have free files as well. There's a Light Up Santa. Let's take a look. And there are the project files to build a plywood guitar. Aspire, VCarve Pro, and VCarve Desktop. Download the project files, and there you go. You're off and running. So there are a lot of ideas over here. There are a lot of there's a lot of inspiration to be had over here. If you see something you like, you can customize a lot of these files. If you're not really crazy about the center medallion on the Paradise box, you can personalize it by engraving a name or something like that. All of this is 100% customizable. And as Martin Pearson says, it's not really difficult to scale them down. I have the Paradise box at 3 different sizes. Absolutely. Everything is 100% customizable. So, again, do yourself a favor and get over and check out some of these projects. They're actually very, very cool. There's a lot of neat stuff over there. So, um, and again, I'm going to say it again, but this is just my opinion. When that Paradise box came out, it basically it kind of rocked the Vectric world in that nobody had seen anything like that on that scale, and everybody started carving them, and it became like I said, a rite of passage. That was the first full project I did on my first plywood CNC. And again, I made the bodies out of maple and the ends out of cherry, and they turned out fantastic. So do yourself a favor, get over there and check it out. You'll be amazed at some of the stuff you see. So let's if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll get to them. Right now, I have one question from Norman Peterson down in my old stomping grounds around Reno. I have a car badge that's in JPEG. I want to convert it to SVG. It has over 2,000 open vectors. Holy cow. Is it possible to do? Um, Norman, anything is possible. The question is, how hard do you want to work on it? 2,000 open vectors. I think the first thing I would do is I would look to see, did somebody already do a vector drawing of that badge? If it's something that is 100% custom, then what I have found often the easiest way to do it is there's two ways. The easier way is to import the JPEG into VCarve and trace it yourself. The absolute easiest, with generally speaking a good turnaround time, is to look for a vectorizing service. There are vectorizing services out there that'll charge, oh, 15, maybe $20, and they'll do it all for you because they have specialized software that they use that is way above and beyond what we use. It's specialized for that purpose. So I can't think of a name right off the top of my head, but if you I believe we're Facebook friends. Shoot me a message and I will shoot you. I'll look up the name of the company and I'll share it with you. I believe we're Facebook friends. If not, go ahead and shoot me an email, and you know where my email address is. Um, as far as everything else, um, if you're looking to make it into an SVG to later on maybe do some 3D modeling with it, you'll want to join those vectors for sure. But as Martin Pearson is saying right here, which is where I was going to go next, you can do a profile cut on the vector with a V-bit. And if that's what you're looking to do, that may be your solution because you're right. 2,000 open vectors, it's a lot of open vectors. And I can already see it now. There are going to be some issues with joining vectors. Just remember that you cannot join a vector at an intersection like so. It has to be joined to a point, either an endpoint or a start point. 2,000 of them, that's a lot of vectors to go through and join. But if you have the JPEG file, it might be easier just to go in and hand trace it. But do hit me up on Facebook or send me an email, and I will try like crazy to find the name of that digitizing company um, that a friend recommended to me. And I'll find that name and get it out here. For everybody else, as soon as I find that name, I will link them in the description as soon as I find it. But generally, a fast turnaround time, and they handle it all. You know, this friend has told me that there have been times that he sent it to him at like 8 o'clock at night, and it's ready for him the next morning. It's in his email. So I can't guarantee anything like that, obviously, because I'm not the one doing the work. But if it helps you, you know, let's see. I was gonna mention something else, but I don't remember what it was now. Boy. Um, okay. Rich Bratcher is wondering, what will I have to remember when I swap out from my Makita to a new Redline 80 millimeter spindle? Well, first of all, once you go spindle, you won't go back. I'm telling you, you won't go back. Um, about the only thing you need to remember is setup, 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 setup is crucial. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've got a water cool or an air cooled spindle, but as long as you have your setup done with the VFD set correctly, keep tech support's email and phone number if you've got one. Keep it handy because you may need that tech support. But once you get it set up and it's functioning properly, about the only thing you'll have to remember is when you go into VCarve or Aspire, and this is assuming that your spindle speed is controlled by your software controller. you'll have to remember to go in and set a RPM. So here in, let's go to tool database here. When you select a tool, let's go with my 1/4" end mill, you will have to remember to set a spindle speed. All of my, I believe the standard spindle speed in the software, I think the default is 12,000. I had to go in and set that spindle speed. And it's going to depend on what the bid is. It's going to depend on what the material is. That's another one of those things, kind of like feed rates and plunge rates, that's never set perfectly. It, meaning that you won't set it and forget it. Because depending upon the material you're carving, you may want to speed up your RPM and slow down your feed rate, or speed up your feed rate and slow down your RPM. There's always going to be a little bit of give and take there. But if anything, that's the main thing to remember, is you're going to have to pay attention to that spindle RPM if your spindle is controlled by the software. And that took me a little while to get used to, because I was much like yourself. I had a router. I didn't have a spindle, and I had to adjust the speed on the router itself. So other than that, like I say, once you start with a spindle, you will never go back. Okay, let's see here. Trent Hamilton is saying, I'm making a wavy flag with a 3D component. Okay. Is there a way to make the wave depths deeper with settings in Vectric? Yes. I'm assuming you imported a model, and I don't have a model to import here, but I can kind of show you what I can. What you'll do, let me go into clip art and pull something up here. No, I don't even need clip art. Don't even need clip art. I'll just put a zero plane out here. Okay. What you'll do with your wavy component is you'll select it, go into properties. Within the properties, you'll adjust your shape height and you'll adjust your base height. Okay. So you're adjusting the shape height to give you the deeper troughs and higher peaks. Okay. So when you get that to the size that you want, you'll come over into material setup, then you'll get your placement where you want. So you don't have peaks sticking up out of the top of the material, and you don't have valleys pushing down below the material. You'll set your model's position, and it'll adjust out here without any 3D content other than a zero plane. It's hard to show. You'll adjust that position from there. But basically, it's just components tab, properties, and then you'll adjust your shape height and base height. So that's how you uh, adjust the depth of your peaks and valleys and what have you. So let's see here. I hope that answers that, Trent, and thank you for your question. Stuart Lindsay, howdy, cousin. I don't know if you're a cousin or not, but howdy, cousin. Uh, spelled it right too. Any tips on holding material larger than my bed? Ooh, it's gonna depend on a lot of things. I had to do this myself to I had to do this myself to cut a new spoil board, and it was just slightly longer than my bed's reach, or than my gantry's reach. I would have hit a soft limit and a hard limit, but all the way to the back. So what I did was I kind of drug it forward slightly, and this, you might think this is cheating, but it worked. I'm going to try to do this to where you can see, but I don't know if it's going to work. I slid the material forward slightly, then put some 2x4s underneath from the back. It was an open frame. Put some 2x4s underneath from the back and used my composite nail gun to nail the material to those 2x4s that were clamped to the frame. I did it up front and then at the back so that I could cut back there on the back without crashing the router. Then I could knock those pieces loose, unclamp them, shove this back into place, and there we went. There are all kinds of different ways of mounting material that are a little bit too big. It depends on what it is. If you're talking about, say, a big slab or something like that, I've seen people use everything from hot glue to, again, screwing them down to a piece of material you can mount to your table, or even gluing them down. The main thing is that it's secure enough to do the operations that you want. If you're trying to, for instance, flatten a slab, it might be worth it to make a plywood sled and either screw it on from the back so you can screw that down, or however you need to do it. There are various ways of mounting material. It just depends on what it is. If you're trying to do a pass-through tile, then I made a sled, and that worked for me. But I had width working in my favor because this project was narrower than my CNC gantry width. And I just fastened it to that slab and cut it that way. So let's see here. What are we talking about here? And hopefully that helps you, Stuart. I don't know if that was any good or not. I'm really not sure. What are we talking about out here? Oz says also put in a pause in the software for the spindle. Yeah, if your spindle is controlled by the software, there should be a pause built in while that spindle comes up to speed. Mine is that way. The M3 command turns on the spindle and it stays in place while that spindle is running up. And when it gets up to speed, then it'll take off and move to the position of the first cut. But that's built into the spindle controller. So I can't speak to other controllers, but there should be a pause to allow that spindle to come up to speed. And the way I set my post processor up, the command to turn on the relay that runs my dust collector turns on just before the spindle. It's the line before this M3 command for the spindle. So the dust collector comes on before the spindle. That way they both have time to come up to speed. So by the time it gets over to start making the first cut, they're both running at max speed. And I've got dust collection immediately. So it's M3 that turns on the spindle. It's an M7 that turns on my dust collector. So let's see. Wendell says, my opinion, changing the spindle is not important unless you have a tool changer. If you don't, then what's important is spindle off and on so you know when the job is finished. I would disagree with you, but only on a few minor points. I think a spindle is always better than a router. Number one, I know the minute the bit touches the wood, the noise is almost identical, but the whine of that router can carry outside the walls of my shop, and the sound of a router does carry further than the sound of the wood being cut by that bit. Number two, routers just were not made to be run for long periods of time like that. They were made to be turned on, run for a little while, shut off while you do something else. Even some of the big industrial routers, I mean, I've used Porter cable routers that were 20 years old when I used them. Even they were made to be turned on and turned off. They weren't meant for a long 5, 6, 7, 8 hour run cycle. And they wear through brushes and bearings quickly. So I think a spindle is always the better way to go, personally. They have a lot better torque, a torque band than a router does. And that frees up my router for use in my router table. So, I mean, is a spindle necessary? Absolutely not. I mean, I did a lot of great projects with my router, but once I tried the spindle, I'll never go back to a router. It just works so much smoother. I do get a better quality product, end product, because the spindle is made, I think, to tighter tolerances than a consumer level router. I mean, there are routers out there, high end routers out there that cost as much or more than a spindle that'll give you, I mean, perfect precision results. But if you're going to spend that money, why not spend the money on something that was designed to run for 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days? I've seen too many routers burn up, you know. Let's see here. I don't have an answer for this one, so this one I'm going to throw out to y'all. Kimberly Went, she has the Axiom, and they use the pendant. You put the flash drive in the pendant, and it runs off of that. I think Legacy is similar. There may be a couple others out there that are similar. Mine is not that way. I have a computer that runs my controller. So, for anyone that has a CNC with a pendant controller, is there a way to alphabetize the files from the flash drive? Tired of scrolling through all of them to find the file I want to cut. If anybody has any ideas or has any input on that, be it Axiom or another uh, controller, is there a way to help with that? So I really have no idea, Kimberly. Okay, Powell Patterson is asking, and I get this question a lot: is upgrading to VCarve 12 from 11.5 worth the money? Depends on what you're doing. Um, were a number of upgrades from 11.5 to 12, and whether you think they're worth it or not is 100% your call. One of the good things about Vectric is you're licensed for 11.5, and that license is never going to go away. It's never going to go away. So you can use 11.5. And if it's working great for you and you don't see a need to upgrade, then fine, go for it. Is it worth the extra money? Some would say yes, others would say no. They did a huge overhaul, and a lot of that overhaul it brought about a whole host of bugs that they're still working on. In fact, we just most recently had another update. We're up to 12.013, so been 13 updates to version 12. And 12.5 is scheduled to come out in spring. And there will be more updates between now and then, I'm sure. Some people, when they do, whenever anybody comes up with such a major overhaul like they did with version 12 as compared to 11.5, a lot of people like to wait until they got all those bugs worked out and figured out. And that's legit. I mean, anybody who's worked with Windows computers knows that it seems Microsoft comes out with every other version of Windows is a good version, but in between, not so much. Anybody remember Windows ME or Vista or Windows 8? I rest my case. It seems like every other one is a decent operating system. I'm not comparing that with I'm not comparing that with Vectric at all because I don't think there's been a dud of an update yet. But I would recommend you go to Vectric's website and there's a compare versions page over there. You have to look for it and see what the difference between 11 and 12 is. Secondarily, what you can do is go over to Vectric's YouTube channel and you can look at the What's New in vCarve Pro 12.0 video and see if any of those upgrades are worth it to you. Because I can't tell you if it's worth it. You have to make that call. There may be something there that you really want. Then again, maybe there isn't. And if there isn't, there's no harm in using 12.5, or excuse me, 11.5. I still have it on all of my computers. So, I hope that helps. But you are the final arbiter on what's worth it and what isn't. So, let's see here. We're getting some answers here. We've got put a number before the name of your file, such as 1001, 1002, 1003. I know a lot of these pendants limit the number of characters you can have on the as a file name, and that to me is kind of, well, I understand why they do it, but I think that is obsolete personally. If your operating system can't handle, more than 5 or 6 or 7 characters, isn't it time to get a little bit of work done? But I understand why they did it, but this is 2024 fixing to be 2025. Come on, folks. That's just me. So, um, Mark Lindsay says, will 12.5 be an upcharge? Not if you have 12.0. If you already have 12.0, 12.5 is considered an in-family upgrade. It's within the 12 family upgrade. So there won't be a charge for 12.5. And if they come up with a 12.75, there won't be a charge for that. It's only when they jump to a new version number. So there will be an upcharge for version 13. But that's so far down the road now, I'm not even going to think about that. So, but let's see. Are there any other questions? Kimberly, that would probably be a good idea. Have to email Axiom. Also, check to see if Axiom has a support community, a support forum. Just about every CNC manufacturer that isn't based overseas
and even some of them, has a support forum where people who use the machines and use the software have 99 times out of 100, the membership of these support forums is made up of end users like you and me. Yeah, there's a few employees there, and but for the most part, it's made up of members like you and me who have been there, done that, got the T-shirt. And I seriously doubt you're the first person to have that question. So it's quite possible somebody else has already come up with the answer. And if not, that's where a lot of these companies get their ideas for updates from. So Sargon, Tavur, channel member and very devoted friend to this channel, gentleman, scholar, and just number one good egg. Thank you very, very much. Mini splint fun come summer. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it, and I greatly appreciate you and everything you do. Sincerely, thank you. Let's see here. Chip Frappier says, found this in a Google search to alphabetize files in a folder. Navigate to the folder on your computer, right click in an empty area and select sort by name. Okay, that may work on the computer, but this is on her pendant to her Axiom CNC. I don't know if that would work it. I really don't know. Brooks Martin says, one issue I have with version 12 is the removal of the bake rotated bounds option. Suggest they put it back. Send them an email. Again, they may not realize how popular it is. It worked with the draw curves thing. They brought back a way for you to draw curves. I mean, if the villagers get out the pitchforks and torches, they'll handle it. Believe me. And it maybe they thought it was something that nobody used. I mean, and they found out real quick that draw curves is something that a lot of people used because I mean the acrimony was wow. So yeah, shoot them an email and request it back. Now, having said that, with a lot of what they've been doing under the hood, with all of the drawing abilities and everything in the 3D view, there may be a reason why they had to take it out. But at least you'll get a explanation as to why they had to take it out. And they did have to remove some things because they were conflicting with the ability to draw vectors in the 3D view. They did have to remove a couple of things. I don't know if this was one of them. I'm not an insider. I'm just some guy in a shed. So I just am not afraid to email them and ask questions. I mean, at the end of the day, they're people just like you and me. And if they don't have a good answer, maybe they'll put it on the list to, hey, bring this back, you know. But if they don't know it's broke, they can't fix it. So by all means, let them know. Let's see here. I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm seeing some more discussion about the see where's my pick phone. You have a CNC router, Brooks. You can make one and hang it up on the wall. I'm good at coming up with stuff for other people to do, you know. Lots of people talking about trying to get that uh, alphabetized and tool path optimization. Let's see here. Okay, looking to see, do we have any? Wow. Ray and Linda, thank you so very much. Totally unnecessary. but greatly appreciated. I'm really trying to get. I want to put in a mini split, but funds had to go to other things. So let's see here. Just updated my VCarve Pro to 13 and now it will not open. Keep trying. It worked for me perfectly on 3 computers, both Aspire and VCarve. So, thank you very much, Ray and Linda. I truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. Wow, you guys are awesome. I keep saying I have the best viewers on YouTube, and you guys are proof of that. Okay, let's see. I'm running out of questions, and I'm tap dancing as fast and hard as I can. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll end this one short. It's before, it's the 3 days before Christmas, and a lot of folks are frantically trying to finish up their last minute projects. A lot of folks have finished, and we're trying to calm it down now. I've got a couple of questions here that just popped in. So let's see here. That put an end to that. Alan Williamson says, how critical is router speed for different bits? I'm still fairly new, but haven't really changed mine. The main thing to remember about router slash spindle speed is it depends heavily on the material that you're using and the bit that you're using. Generally speaking, around 16,000 RPM, I find is a good happy medium for carving wood. But if you start cutting acrylic or foam, plastics, anything that'll melt real easy, you'll have to slow that down to keep from building up friction, which will melt it. If you have a large diameter bit, for instance, let me get out my big surfacing bit. If you have a big surfacing bit like this, that's a 2.5-inch diameter bit, you have to slow down the RPMs on this. If you don't, and most manufacturers will have a max RPM rating for their bits. Max RPM on this is 18,000. I have never run it that fast. That is just too ding dong fast. I run this anywhere from 14 to 16,000. And the reason for that is the edges out here spinning that fast. They can actually break the sound barrier on some bits if you try to spin it that fast. It's just too much weight to be spinning that fast. And you'll burn stuff up, probably damage the bit, and you don't want pieces of carbide flying around that quickly. So if it's bigger than, say, 1.5 inches, you need to slow that down. 1/4 inch diameter end mills, I generally run about 16,000. The main thing is keep an eye on how your bit is cutting and take notes. Just take notes. You will quickly discover what works and what doesn't. If you're burning wood, your RPM is too fast. If you're getting dust and not chips, your RPM is too fast. Or your feed rate is too slow, or a combination of the two. When in doubt, slow it down. I tend to run, like I said, my 1/4 inch end mills right around 16,000 RPM. And that works fine for me. This one, depending upon what I'm cutting and how deep I'm cutting, 14 to 16,000. So Jim Brown says, I slow it down to 3/4 and larger. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Whatever works for you. Uh, Again, I tend to listen to manufacturers' recommendations, and the manufacturer's recommendation on this is a max RPM of 18,000. I've never even gotten close to that. So, holy cow, Kimberly, thank you very, very much. I certainly appreciate it. Totally unnecessary, but I seriously appreciate it. Okay. I don't know if my wife's listening, but with this many people contributing, the mini split has to happen after the new year. That's all there is to it. So, Ray Russell says, I keep a CNC recipe book. I've got notebooks all over the place. And as you can see, I use them. And I also you can see over here on the bottom of my monitor, I also use my label maker to make notes to myself that I can't ignore. So it works. And Brooke says 14,000 RPM for the RC 2275, 1.75 inch surfacing bit with a 1/2 inch shank. Yeah. This is the RC 2255. So, yeah. Chip says mini splits are easy to self install. I have seen that they are, but the thing is, I like a warranty on my installation, and I'm an old man now. A lot of stuff that is easy to do by yourself. With me, the hardest part of DIY was knowing when not to. And the older I get, the easier it is to make that call. I got a nephew that cleans out my rain gutters and downspouts and everything. In fact, I need to call him. I'm about ready to start calling him whenever I got a ceiling light bulb that needs to be changed, but I'm not to that point yet. But it's getting there. I outsource everything I can outsource. And I am to that age. If I could fit the car in the house, I'd drive to the bathroom. I'm not proud. I'll say it. Yeah, I don't do the roof. No, I don't do the roof. I don't do the roof. Let's see here. There was another. Rich Bratcher wants to know, will I need to use a different dust hood when I change from Makita to a spindle? I'm using the original Onefinity. It's an 80 millimeter spindle, I believe you said. I would do some shopping. Not sponsored at all. Not sponsored. I have found the absolute best dust collector boot for my 4-inch system is that one right there. It's called what did he call it? The Triceratops Dust Eater. No, Triceravac Dust Eater. From a gentleman named Keith Moreland. He runs a Etsy shop called One Guy in a Shop. I'll link him down in the description of this video. Your Makita dust shoe will probably not fit that 80 millimeter router or spindle. It might. And if it does, there you go. If you're using a 2.5 inch, like a shop vac or something like that, I don't know that Keith can help you. He might be able to, but I don't know that. I have a El Cheapo 2 horsepower Harbor Freight dust collector that runs out the dust shoe, through the hose, and down through that hard pipe and into a dust deputy cyclone that sits on a 13-gallon drum. I went with 13-gallon because I'm the son of a gun that's got to carry it down the driveway to dump it. And then it goes from there into the filter and bag from the Harbor Freight dust collector. I've had it there for, this is coming up on 3 years, and I have maybe an eighth inch of dust in that plastic bag, and I've never dumped it. That dust deputy catches it all. To include bit cases if you don't move them and don't realize, and you go to clean off your table with the dust collector hose, it'll suck it right up. I really like this dust shoe. It's the best I have ever used, and it's the best I've ever seen in action. I don't have the other one handy. I've already taken in the house. I tried a different dust shoe, and oh, here it is right here. They're not going to like me saying this, but I tried the Avid CNC dust shoe, and you see which one is on my CNC now. Avid used to recommend the Kent dust collector, and I was seriously looking at getting one. But a gentleman by the name of Russ Tyndall, who runs a YouTube channel called Blue Line Wood Flags, I noticed he switched from the Kent to this one. And I asked him, is it really that much better? Oh, yeah, it is. And it was $10 cheaper than the Kent at the time. I went ahead and went with that instead of the Kent, and I'm glad I did. It surrounds the bit on 3 sides. It's got, you can see the 2 side chambers. There's also 2 rear chambers. So it surrounds the bit on 3 sides. And brother, it picks it up. I surface the spoil board. I don't see any dust at all. There's no dust escapes that. So, wow, Maurice, holy cow. Maurice, thank you. Thank you very much. I should mention, Maurice has a live stream coming up this afternoon at 2 Pacific, so that'll be 5 Eastern. Yes, 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, right after we're done here, about a half hour after we're done. For you fans of Fusion 360, I know there's a few of you out there that do like Fusion 360. Maurice is your man. He's the guy. He's doing an open Q&A today talking about Fusion 360. So if you want to learn some of this stuff in Fusion, by all means, get over there and join his live stream this afternoon. Again, I say 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, and there is a link to his live stream down in the description. It's already there. Thank you very much, Maurice. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rich, I'm telling you, that 4-inch makes all the difference in the world. Makes all the difference in the world. I ran the 2.5-inch off of my well, I've got it hooked up to my sander now, off of my shop vac through one of those dust toppers from Home Depot, and it worked pretty good. I graduated up to this, and oh my dog, this thing man, I'm telling, just make sure you've got the small light stuff. These collet wrenches for the CNC, it won't suck one up, but it'll move it. It's a powerful, powerful son of a gun. I was shocked. So get all that put back away. And the Harbor Freight dust collectors are not super expensive. They're not super expensive. All right, let's see here. Maurice is doing some amazing stuff. He absolutely is. He absolutely is. Some very amazing stuff. Uh-oh. Looks like you got a fan, Maurice. Tell the truth, it sucks. Yes, sir, it does. Sometimes it sucks up stuff you don't want to get sucked up. I have had to go get bit boxes out of the thing. So, all right. Let's see. Sargon says fusion is confusion for me. Well, but I need to learn it in this lifetime. Maurice is your man. I'm telling you. So, alrighty, I am going to go ahead and end this now. I wanted to say thank you to everybody for spending part of your Sunday with me. Channel members, tomorrow, fun with wooden spoons. I don't know why, but a lot of people are asking about it. We're going to do our best. Some of it's going to be Aspire only. I'll do what I can with VCarve, but VCarve folks are going to have to understand there's going to be some hand sanding and hand finishing because your options are very limited. That's tomorrow, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Check the community tab for links to the members only live streams. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you would like or you would like more information. I love inside jokes. You have to become a member to find out what she's talking about. Uh, thanks, Kimberly. If you'd like to find out more information on how to become a channel member, look down below this video panel somewhere. You'll see the join button. Click the join button. Video will pop up. Our panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. We have a great crew and we'd love to have you join us. Everybody you see over here in the chat that has a star next to their name, those are my channel members and they're some of the best people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So if you'd like to join us, now you know how. Everybody else, I really don't know what I'm going to be doing next weekend. I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. My other guest fell through. I want to take this opportunity, however, to thank everybody here. This will be, I think, no, we have one more live stream before for 2024. 2022? Whew, it's been a long week. I want to thank everybody for your support. I want to thank everybody for your good wishes to me and my wife, Linda. I want to thank everybody for your friendship and your camaraderie. A lot of you, we have never met face to face. I don't think that that is mandatory to know good people when I see them. I say all the time, I have the best viewers on YouTube, and you folks prove it to me every week. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate you spending part of your Sunday with me. I appreciate you watching the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to the channels, and leaving me comments, asking questions, and sharing videos with your friends and family and other CNCers. This has never been about me. It's always been about trying to show everybody that there are no secrets. This is not over your head. If I can figure this out, you certainly can. And if I've helped anybody reach that little light bulb moment where they've gone, aha, and they have finished a project that they were sweating, if I've helped anybody to do that, then I've done my job. And I want to say thank you for making 2024 the best year for this channel yet. And here's looking forward to 2025. Got a lot of stuff in the background I can't talk about just yet. A lot of neat stuff coming. Here's hoping I can pull it all off. And with your support, we'll get through it. Thank you very much. Here's wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Spend the time wisely. We're all here for a limited amount of time. Spend it wisely and hold on to the ones that are important to you. Thank you very much. Y'all take care.